Hey, hello friends, welcome to my channel. In this Azure DevOps tutorial series, today let's discuss about how to push our code changes to the repo with help of Git using Visual Studio Code. Alright, so there are quite a lot of integrated development environments available in the market. To name a few, the popular ones like IntelliJ IDEA, Eclipse, PyCharm, Visual Studio, and Visual Studio Code. There are quite a lot of other popular tools as well. Whereas the reason why Visual Studio Code is picked is because again it's a Microsoft product and it's a developer's first choice because of its ease to use and quite a lot of advanced features available with Visual Studio Code. Okay, so that's the one of the main reason why this is quite popular in recent times. Okay, so in this particular video we'll focus on how to clone a repo using Visual Studio Code and how do we make changes to our code and how do we push those changes to our remote repository with help of Git. Alright, so here we go. So let's try to open Visual Studio Code. Okay, here we have multiple options, like we can create a new file, open a file, open an existing file, open a folder, clone Git repository. Okay, so you can directly click on this clone Git repository and clone your remote repo, or else you can see there is an icon, Git icon on the left hand side. So you can click on this, and from here you can click on clone repository. You need to provide a URL. So let's go to our remote again. So repos, here I'm gonna click on clone. I'm gonna copy this. Now I need to provide this URL here and I'm clicking on enter. So as soon as I provide this, I need to provide a local path where I need to save my repository, right? So let me create something under documents. Okay, so under documents, let me call it as git demo. Okay, so here I am. So select as a repository destination. So here I am. It is cloning. Let's give it a second. Alright, here it is. So your project is now visible in your Visual Studio Code. Okay, so here it is. So we have like two files, command line arguments and compare to list. So so this is how so let's say we want to make some code changes to any of the files. Say let me try to make a change. Okay, before making a change, let's try to create a new branch. Okay, on the left hand side you can see we have main. Okay, and here on the top side we have something called let's go here and oops, let's go here. Here we have option called branch. Under branch we are creating a new branch. We can create a new branch. So there are two ways which you can create. Here you can provide your branch name. Let's call it as git demo branch. Okay, and I'm clicking on enter. So now you can see now I have switched to branch. Okay, so here you can make any changes. Say let me sum of three numbers. Okay, I'm just making few basic changes. All right, so now once the change is done, I'm gonna save it. So once the save is done, you can see there's a one pending change that is available. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to commit this to our remote, right? So I'm gonna provide a commit message. Let's call it as git demo commit. All right, so I'm gonna commit here. So you can directly commit, or there is an option to commit and push and commit and sync. So let's try to go by default option, like let's try to go one by one. So I'm clicking on commit. So here you can see it's giving me a pop-up telling like there are no staged changes to commit. Would you like to stage all your changes and commit them directly? Okay, so generally what happens is whenever you make a change and try to commit it, so initially it will be trying to store in the staging location and then into a local local repo and finally into your remote origin branch. All right, so if you have any confusion in this, I would suggest you to watch my previous video with regards to Git architecture, where I have clearly explained like how Git works internally. Okay, so now for now I'm clicking on yes. So now I have committed my changes. Finally, I have to publish the branch. Okay, so when I say publish, the push will automatically happen to your remote. So here publishing is, yeah, now the publishing is done. Now if I go to the remote repo, let me refresh this. You can see here it is. So our changes is now reflected here. I can create a PR here and just create it. I can approve it. I can complete it. Alright, now our code changes is completed. It is now merged into our main branch. Okay, here it is. You can see git demo commit Thiago, like the latest commit. What we did is now merged in our main branch. Okay, so you might have noticed like how easy it is like to push your code changes from Visual Studio Code into Git, using Git into your remote repository, right? So that is why most of the developers nowadays use this particular way of committing your code changes to your remote. And again, Git bash is also another useful option. The reason I have covered Git bash in our previous videos because I want you to understand what's happening at each and every stage. What's happening when you try to issue add command, commit, push, so that you will have a very clear understanding about the Git architecture. That's why I covered the Git bash option in our previous video. Whereas if if you are an experienced developer and you are aware about all the Git operations, then this would be the very easiest operations. Like all you can do is just make a code change and directly commit and push your changes to your remote branch. Okay, so this is how you can easily clone, make a code change and push it to your remote repo using Visual Studio Code. And there is another option also, like if at all let's try to close this. Now if at all we are trying to clone, so in your remote, if you go to clone, you can see an option called IDE. Here it is showing multiple IDs in which you can clone into, like we have Android Studio, CLine, Data Grip, Eclipse. There are quite a lot of IDs here. So Visual Studio Code is the one by default it is selected. So once you click on clone Visual Studio Code, open. Right, so now it is trying to open your Git repo in this particular in Visual Studio Code. Okay, so this is another easy way of doing. Again you have to follow the same process where you have to create a location for your Git to be saved locally and then start making changes. Okay, so this is another way of cloning your code into Visual Studio Code and then making the changes and pushing it to your remote repository. Okay, so I hope you guys understood like how to start working with Visual Studio Code. So this is a very basic video. I just wanted to show you, maybe going forward with a lot of demo sessions, we'll try to use Visual Studio Code and see what are the different complex operations that we can perform using this particular IDE. Okay, so that's all what I want to cover as part of this video, guys. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, please subscribe and share please subscribe to my channel, and thank you.